For property developers, there's many hurdles through getting it from the planning point, EIA, all the permission they have to go. Today we're here at Southpoint. They've reached another milestone. I'm joined by the CEO of Kingdom Property, our old friend Nigel Cornick. Nigel, great to see you today. Tell us what's going on.
Well, we've got to the 30th floor, which is the top of the building, and traditionally we've always had a topping off ceremony whenever we've got to this stage. So this will be my 12th topping off in Thailand.
Oh wow!
And first for Kingdom, but it certainly won't be the last. So it's a bit of a milestone. It's probably fair to say that there's still a lot of work to be done. Seeing the structure, you also have to bear in mind most of the guts are coming up underneath it, so that's a very important thing to bear in mind. But it is it's a landmark milestone for us.
Okay. Now, the last time we spoke to you, we came and did a site visit, I guess about 3 months ago. I'm trying to remember which floor we were on there.
16th.
16th.
Yeah.
And that was 3 months ago or so. So you've that's a phenomenal rate.
It's basically a 4 to 5 days a floor, which is pretty good going.
All right. Now this week we've been hampered with terrible weather.
I know.
Storm. And I was worried about the topping off ceremony today. I thought, oh my gosh, it's going to get rained on. But how does that affect the progress of what's going on here?
I think, to be frank with you, rain doesn't really affect the progress of construction that much. It might have a little bit of effect if you're pouring your slabs, but to be honest, it's a marginal effect. But I've never had a topping up ceremony called off by rain, ever.
All right.
So it was always going to be like this today.
It was always going to be
like this.
All right. So tell us, since we last spoke to you, how's things? Because this has been a challenging time for Thailand. As you actually predicted, I remember a year ago at Movers and Shakers, you said things are going to get worse before they get better. Is there a light at the end of the tunnel, or is it a train coming towards us?
Look, I believe it's certainly a lot more positive than it was this time last year, because we were just entering the phase of unrest and political uncertainty. So we've come a long way since then, and I think that given time, the government will continue pushing things forward. It'll be interesting to see how this high season works out as far as tourism is concerned. I heard Bill Heineke being interviewed just the other day, and he reckoned it will be the best high season ever for Thailand. So if Bill says that, then you've got to believe there's some truth in it. So I think that will be good. Getting buyers back is always a bit difficult. I think that the buyers are there, but unfortunately so too is the stock. So it's being diluted across a significant amount of real estate in Pattaya anyway. So I think that's something we have to be conscious of. If you look at Bangkok, its projects are selling out on launch, and there's a fair number of Singaporeans and Hong Kong Chinese buying in those projects. Whereas here, that's not quite the same. So I think that for me is the worry, is that the volume of buyers is not going to be able to soak up the supply here. But that's why we try and do something a bit different in locations a bit different.
Okay. Well, I guess one of the other very valid points is the fact that you've done it, you've built it. Now that's it. Now it's really just the guts of it, as you say. And this, of course, can only be a good thing for buyer confidence.
Yeah, no, I think that the process of development is very simple. It's not rocket science, as I keep telling people, if you do it right. If you go off the rails, then you're going to have all sorts of problems. So you see, we had Krung Thai Bank here, our funders, which is somewhat rare in Pattaya. Most of the projects here are being built off equity from customers and sort of private loans, etc. So the bank finance for me is something buyers should be looking for, because if you haven't got the facilities to keep the construction going, then construction stops, and when it stops, it isn't necessarily going to start again quickly.
Yeah, sure. When you look at the other developers, and obviously we're not going to name anybody, but when you see them and then the construction does stop, how does that make you feel about the development of Pattaya as a whole?
Well, look, I suppose that they'll tell you it hasn't stopped, but the reality is it probably has, or it's slowed down significantly, because you can't. Contractors, from my experience over the years, if they're not being kept fed, then they'll stop. Simple as that. So I think that at the moment we haven't seen any real major issues that one would say are creating bad press in terms of developers not being able to proceed. But time's out on that one, in my view.
So we're on the cusp of what we hope and what Bill says is going to be a phenomenal high season. What's your expectations for the next few months, and where are you in terms of sales as we speak now?
I think we're probably, since we last spoke, we've sold probably 5 or 6, which isn't great. I think that our key market now is probably more Thai buyers than it is foreign buyers, because as you can see, we'll be finished by the middle of next year, which means that customers will be able to get their bank financing. And for Thais, they don't necessarily have to put a lot of equity into it. And I think for a weekend retreat, holidays, investment, the product is well located, and I think our focus will be very much on the Thai buyers, and those markets that I suppose we identify as having some volume behind them. But let's see what happens with the Russian market and the Chinese market during the next 6 months. We're all in the same boat. We're all waiting to see. Nobody knows. No one's got the answer to it.
Yeah. Well, Nigel, congratulations on today. As I said in my sort of intro there, it is a kind of a milestone for you, because it signs off that part, doesn't it? And then you can focus on getting all the inside and all the interiors. How far are the interiors up to at the moment?
I think they're probably up to about level 10. And we're talking about MM&E, which is really, the money is not in the structure. The money is actually inside in the M&E, and it's also where all the headaches are if you don't do it right. So, we've got great M&E contractors, and we've got great supervision, which makes sure that things don't get covered up, only for them to become uncovered when people move in and turn the water on. So it's a process that if you don't do properly, then your customers will find out about it eventually, and then they won't be your customers anymore.
Well, Nigel, thanks very much. You can see this gentleman has a great deal of knowledge and experience in building and development, and of course with his previous where he was working with Raymond Land. But this is the first one in Paddy, the first one for Kingdom, and this is a great project, a fantastic location down in Pratamanak. As we've been speaking, the website's been on the screen. Click on the link or come down and speak to Nigel and his team and get a first-hand feel for what Southpoint can offer you, whether it's in terms of investment, or you're coming here as a second home, or whether you want to make this the place where you live, as Nigel and I do. This is Paul for PMTV. See you again. Bye-bye. Thank you very much. Paul.